when I was in college, I took this course in, I guess it was just literature. I think it was a required English class I had to take, and the professor was kind of an interesting guy. He was a big fan of the Irish writer James Joyce. So because of that, he had us reading a lot of Joyce. And I remember, well, first of all, just finding that really tough. He was kind of hard to understand. He had a really unique style, and so I don't remember too much about what I read from Joyce, but I do remember a couple of things that this professor said about him, and references to that, to James Joyce. And one in particular, I guess Joyce was asked about being Catholic and what he thought being Catholic meant. And his response was, I thought, an interesting one. He said, being Catholic means here comes everybody. Here comes everybody, which is kind of an unusual response to that question, but I kind of like it. I think he's really speaking to just like the universal nature of the church, and the scope of what the Christian message is about. Thinking about this Mass that we do here at the beach on the Sundays throughout the summer, and I'm reminded of that quote about from Joyce, just this "here comes everybody" concept, because you almost get the feeling when you're at the Mass, and if you look around, everybody seems to almost be here. Certainly people that are regulars, parishioners who just they come here instead of being in the church on a particular day, and even people who from other parishes that make the trip. But then there's also other people, people who maybe really haven't been in church in a while. Some people, some cases non-Catholics, non-Christians. Over the years, I've gotten a couple of letters from people who said they were. One guy said he was riding his bike down the boardwalk and saw the crowd and stopped and kind of inquired what was going on, and people told him, and then he stayed. And he stayed, meaning he reconnected with the church. He'd been away for a lot of years, and he just was kind of inspired by, I think, like the faith of kind of like the public witness piece to all of this. He saw people from town that he knew, and that kind of pulled him in a little bit further. There's a quote from one of my favorite quotes from Pope Francis, and he's describing what he thinks the church. It's really a description of the church and what the church needs to be, and he describes it as like a field hospital after battle, like an army or a military hospital, almost like a MASH unit. And I think what he was trying to say was, yeah, it's kind of like the culture we're living in is a little war zone-like, and there's a lot of hurting people that have been affected by the days we live in the culture, and people that are just searching and hurting and struggling, and the church needs to be there. The church is like a medical hospital. If people are bleeding, you got to stop the bleeding. And we believe that a lot of the bleeding can be stopped by Jesus and the truth and the reality of Christ, and the sacraments, the power of community. And you get people who, for whatever the reason or reasons, they feel like, they're not comfortable going into a church. They feel like, they're not welcome in church. They think that because of their past, they'd be, or even their present, they'd be sort of hypocritical stepping into a church. And you want to be like, no, and no. Like, none of those things should be the case. People should never feel like they can never come into a church, but sadly some do. And I think, again, the benefit of being out here is sort of like, we come to them. We're not saying, you come to me. It's, no, I'll come to you. And there's a difference there. If you want to meet up with somebody, or you're looking to get together with somebody, and you tell them, come to me, as opposed to, no, I'll come to you. I'll meet you where you're at. You don't have to come all the way to me. I'll meet you. I think people we respond to that kind of an invitation a little bit more, maybe. And I hope some of that is felt when we gather here on these nights for, ultimately, it's the Eucharist. When we come together as this people of faith, field hospital. Here comes everybody.